The Platform 2, the sequel to the 2019 hit, has finally been released, bringing us even more mystery and social criticism. But what happened at the end? And what do all those strange scenes with children mean? These are questions we're going to answer today. In this episode of Charlietales, we'll analyze the movie, its message, and of course explain the ending. Ready? Let's go! This film is a prequel set several months before the events of the first movie. This time it tells the story of Perempuan, a woman who lives with deep regret after accidentally causing the death of her boyfriend's child. She entered the platform as a way to escape her trauma. Here she faces the familiar prison rules. A platform descends every day with food, and it's up to the prisoners how they distribute it. But there's a change compared to the first movie. This time the prisoners have established rules to impose order and prevent chaos. Just like the first film, the Platform 2 aims to show us a reflection of society. Human selfishness is represented in the fight for food. All the prisoners chose a dish when they entered, so if everyone respected their chosen dish, there would be enough food for each level. But they don't, because human selfishness always leads someone to try and steal food. We saw this in the first movie, but in this one, a new component is introduced. This time, some prisoners try to create a system of rules to guarantee that everyone receives their share, so survival doesn't solely depend on human kindness. The idea is good, but these rules have flaws too. The prisoners don't have a reliable way to punish those who break the rules, so they themselves must fight to enforce the punishments. This causes many to die along the way. There are also strange rules that seem unfair. For example, if someone dies, their dish can no longer be eaten by anyone else. Instead, it's thrown away. This seems misguided because the ideal would be to find a way to make use of the leftover food. But rules are rules. Perhaps the most interesting component is introduced through the character Dagin Bobby, a chosen one responsible for enforcing the law. He represents the radicals, those who take their beliefs to the extreme. For them, there is no middle ground. Rules are not interpreted, they are obeyed. This character is very intriguing because he divides the audience. You can support him or be against him. He does what is necessary to uphold the rules so that everyone can eat, which is good. But his authoritarian attitude leads him to commit atrocities. For example, he cuts off a woman's arm when her only crime was feeding someone in need. Dagin Bobby's radical attitude causes many of his loyal followers to lose respect for the law. The movie starts with Perempuan having faith in the rules and trying to follow them. But she becomes frustrated when Dagin Bobby kills her companion. Unintentionally, Dagin Bobby sets off a revolution. All of this is a criticism of real society. The prisoners' rules can be seen as a representation of the state. In many countries, it's common for citizens to lose faith in institutions. A prime example is vigilante justice. In our society, sometimes a murderer manages to evade justice, and this provokes civilians to take justice into their own hands. Ironically, these actions are heavily punished by the law. In other words, the law lets a murderer go free, but if you take vengeance, that's when they come after you. When institutions are insufficient, people lose faith, and when they lose faith, they destroy the rules they know, and this usually doesn't end well. The Platform 2 makes this very clear. Dagin Bobby was a horrible person, but his work alone kept the platform from collapsing. Perempuan stopped him under the guise of gaining freedom, of ending this dictatorial regime. But in doing so, she only condemned the weakest. We know that this movie takes place before the first one, so we also know the outcome of Perempuan's actions. The platform became worse than it was. When Goreng enters, he finds a place with no law or control. Only the upper levels eat, and food doesn't reach anyone below. With the Chosen One's efforts, food could reach very low levels. But thanks to Perempuan, that possibility is gone. This brings up the debate we all need to have. Was the platform better off with Dagin Bobby's work? Or is it better for there to be no law and for everyone to fend for themselves? If we extrapolate this to real life, it's essentially the debate of socialism versus capitalism. Is it better to have a world where the government intervenes in everything, meaning there is someone defending the rights of the poor, even if the system is flawed? Or is it better to have a place with no rules, where everyone does what they can with what they have? This is a question each of us must answer for ourselves. But let's move away from politics for a moment and talk about Perempuan. Her evolution is quite interesting. She begins the story with a trauma. Her boyfriend's son died because of her, and that's why she entered the platform. To escape. She even admits it herself. She didn't have the courage to face what she did, so she chose to run away. Near the end, the story revisits this dilemma. She has the opportunity to escape the platform, but just before leaving, she realizes the administration is sending in a child. Here, Perempuan must decide whether to escape or save him. She sees the child as a second chance. This boy represents her boyfriend's son, whom she couldn't save in the past. The movie ends with her sending the child out of the platform to give him a second chance. And finally, we get a big surprise. Goreng appears, and they recognize each other. This tells us that Goreng was Perempuan's boyfriend. His son is the one who died, and by a twist of fate, both ended up in the platform. In case you're wondering, it's very likely that Perempuan died at the end. This is evident because she reunites with Goreng, and years ago the movie's director made it very clear that Goreng died at the end of the first film. So in this scene, both are meeting in the spiritual world, so to speak. That's also why we see Trimagasi and Zamyantin, characters who were confirmed dead. But let's address another question. What do the children in the pyramid represent? According to the director, all these scenes are a representation of human selfishness. It all starts with a pyramid that has a slide in the center. The children take turns orderly, going down the slide. Everyone is happy and in harmony. But then the children lose order. They pile on top of each other to reach the top. They abandon the rules to follow their instinct of getting to the top first. In the end, only one child surpasses everyone else, and the administration chooses him to be sent into the platform. The most selfish child is the one who will enter the platform with the other prisoners. And of course, in the platform, the same idea of selfishness prevails. If everyone respected the food, there would be enough for all. But in reality, humans will always be selfish and seek their own benefit. Fortunately for the boy, there will always be good people trying to protect them, just as Perempuan and Goreng did. The movie ends by showing how others like them have saved children over the years. I believe these children are also an experiment by the administration. The platform is designed to show the worst of human nature, proving that we will always be selfish. But these children serve to show the opposite, that despite all the darkness and evil, there will always be people willing to sacrifice themselves for a better future. But let's delve deeper into what the platform is. Thanks to this new movie, we can understand a bit more about this place. I believe the platform is an experiment by the administration to showcase all facets of society, from selfishness to kindness, from order to anarchy and revolution. I have the theory that events in the platform happen cyclically. For example, in this new movie, we learn that there was once a messiah, someone who sacrificed himself to establish rules and make things better in the platform. At first I thought this was Goreng, but then we realize it's not, since the second movie takes place before the first. So these rules were established long before Goreng. But then with Perempuan's arrival, everything was destroyed, the rules disappeared, and then we have Goreng's arrival, a man who, like the previous messiah, sacrificed himself to send a child as a message of change. It's a never-ending cycle. With this context, it's likely that people saw Goreng's sacrifice as something positive, and perhaps rules will be reinstated to improve the place. But this will only last until another Perempuan comes along to tear the system down. That's why I say this place is like an experiment, to see all stages of society in an endless cycle. But anyway, that's all for today. If you liked the video, you would help me a lot by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also remember to subscribe, because I'll be uploading more videos about your favorite movies. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.